Hey guys, Lindsay Partridge here. This is Bowdry and this is trivia time. They're two of my off-the-track thoroughbreds from the Thoroughbred Makeover. Bowdry is one of my 2017 horses. He finished second in freestyle and trail. And trivia time is one of my 2016 horses. She finished first in freestyle and trail. And we want to do this fun little trick training course with you guys just to share with you some fun different things that you can do with your horses. They can come in handy for, let's say you can't work your horse for some reason. They've got an injury or the footing's bad. You can still do some of these fun things with them to help engage their minds and teach them to be a better learner. In general, the more things that you teach your horse and the more things you can do with them, the more they're going to trust you because they understand you, they get you. So there's a bunch of fun things that we can do with them. Now, before we get started, there's a couple things that I want to make sure I bring up. The first thing is that we can't teach our horse anything if they aren't in what we call a green state of mind. No, don't be in my face. So what a green state of mind means that they're in a calm, alert stage. So both of these horses are calm right now. They're not really moving around. They don't look like they're stressed or anxious. And so they're in a frame of mind that we can work with them. And if you have a horse that's kind of half asleep, you might have to do some things to get them a little bit more awake. Or if you have a horse that's really scared, nervous, anxious, prancing around, you're going to need to do the calm connection exercises first to get them into this green state. Because we can't create a yes horse, which is what we're doing here in the trick training, until our horse is in that kind of green state. The other thing that's important to know is that it's good to teach your horse their ABCs, all of their 8 ABCs, and not just jump into trick training, because then what's going to happen is your horse isn't going to know the other things that are more important, the language-based things, like how to move over, or how to back up, or even things like how to put your head down. All of these things are going to come in handy for when we're teaching tricks, but also we want to make sure that our horse knows these other behaviors that are more learning-based. It's going to come in handy. I put his head down and now he's thinking that he's supposed to lay down. Bubba, you don't have to actually lay down right now. Good boy. So we want to make sure that we teach our horses other language-based things of the 8 ABCs, and that we don't only do tricks. Tricks to me are kind of fun little things that we do with our horses. They don't necessarily have a purpose other than it can be fun for your horse to do. It can help them learn to be a learner, and sometimes they can be practical. Like for example, when we were in Florida and we were riding on the beach, we discovered that having your horse know how to lay down was actually practical, because then we could get on our horse even when there was no mounting block and no saddle or anything like that, when we were bareback and bridleless. So it came in handy. But really, these tricks are just sort of fun things to do. So you want to make sure we still teach those ABCs, and that we have horses that can understand our different parts of our language. So another couple things to remember about trick training is that if you only do one thing, so like a common one is when people teach horses to do Spanish walk, for example, is if this is the only trick you do is to teach your horse to paw or to do things like that, then what's going to happen is your horse is going to default to that, and they're going to constantly default to that behavior. And if you don't want your horse to constantly be pawing or always doing one particular trick, then it's important that you teach your horse many tricks, so that way they can understand that there's different things that you might ask them to do. So if you only do one, you only practice one, don't be surprised if that's the thing that your horse does. As well, it's important to teach your horse that they can receive rewards for more behaviors than just tricks. So for example, if you want your horse to stand still at the mounting block, it can be a good idea to give your horse a treat for that. If you only give your horse treats for doing the trick behaviors, then don't be surprised if your horse is trying to do tricks all the time for you, because they think that's the only time they get a reward. So it's going to be something that they want to do. So if you want your horse to maybe do flying lead changes for you, or jump, or whatever the task is, offer rewards for more than just these tricks. Otherwise they're going to default into the behaviors, and that's where sometimes people can complain about trick training and say that it's annoying because your horse does those things all the time. But where that comes from is people only rewarding those behaviors, so the horse defaults to them. So trivia time is my horse that I work more regularly, and I'm training him for Extreme Cowboy. Bowdry, after finishing the 2017 makeover, he's now actually one of our lesson horses here in the program. So I haven't been working with him as much lately, but I want to show you me doing these tricks with different horses, with different levels that they've been trained to do them. So I don't train every horse on every trick. I just do them for fun here and there, different things to teach them. And then I'm also going to show you me doing these tricks with horses that have never done them before. I'm going to pull out Peanut, who's my little quarter horse that I'm training for Extreme Cowboy, and she's never done any tricks yet. So you're going to get a chance to see what it looks like with a horse that's never done them. So one more thing to keep in mind when we're doing our trick training is we need to make sure we have boundaries with our treats. So we're going to use treats as rewards because they're easy, they're fast. And so there's going to be a couple rules when it comes to giving treats. So one of them is that whenever we're going to give a treat, we're going to use a yes word. So when the horse does the right behavior, we're going to say yes, or you can choose a different word. You can say bingo. We have one Harmony horsemanship instructor, Ambi, she uses the word taco. Her secondary word is sauce, so if the horse is doing a great job, it's like taco sauce. So you can use whatever you want, but what that does is it helps the horse understand when they can expect a treat. And so if we're really disciplined in ourselves to only give the treat when we say that word, then the horse won't nag us for treats. So you can tell kind of a difference between the two horses here. Boundary, who's been in the lesson program, has probably not been people being really regular about not giving him treats for doing things, and so he's a little bit more fidgety, whereas Trivia Time, the horse that I work really regularly, you can see she's basically falling asleep because she understands she's not getting rewarded, she's not supposed to do anything, and you're having a good yawn, aren't you? Yes, good girl. So as long as we're really consistent, then our horse can learn to be nice and polite. And the way I like to look at that is children aren't born knowing the word please. It's the adult's responsibility to teach their child or teach children to say please and to not be rude. And so the same thing with our horses is horses aren't born knowing how to be polite about treats. It's our responsibility to teach them. So one thing that's going to really help that is that we say our yes word when they do something right. No, don't do that. And then the other thing is that when we do go to give a treat, so if I get a cookie out here, I don't let them come into my pockets at all, and I'm not going to be mean and go like step towards them and force them back kind of thing, but I'm going to kind of block my space. Don't come in my space. Don't come in my space. And then if I want you to do a trick, good boy, yes. Now I'm going to give the treat at a distance, and it never is from right at my pocket, right out of my space here, because I don't want to teach horses to be in my pocket. So I want to make sure I kind of own this space here. You're not allowed to come in here. And then if I ask you to do a trick, so can you lift your foot for me? Yes, good girl. And then I'm going to give it at a distance. So again, if we can be really consistent with that and we don't give cookies from right out of our pocket, don't let our horses come right in here. So when they do stuff like this, I'm just going to make the space around me uncomfortable. That doesn't mean to do that. I know, I'm shaking the stick. So I don't want to get them really in trouble, and I don't want to go after them. I don't want to turn and hit them and things like that. I'm just going to make the space around me uncomfortable to say, no, there's no treats. You're not getting anything from in here. And if we can be really consistent about that, then they're not going to bother to try. But if the problem happens, if you're not consistent and you do let horses kind of come in your space when you're going to get your treat out and then you still give it to them, well, they're not going to have good manners. Are you guys looking at the kitty? So that gives you a few little ground rules as we head into the trick training here is don't let them come in your space. Like be really consistent about nope, not allowed to do that. And give the treat at a distance. Make sure you use a yes word. Make sure your horse is in a green state of mind. They need to be calm and relaxed in order to do these things. And we're going to make sure that we still teach them all the language-based tasks of the ABCs, because that's going to help them for the trick training, but also we don't want our horse to just default into all of these trick behaviors. So I hope you find that helpful. Let's go have fun, and we're going to learn some tricks. Thanks for watching.